We are Africa First, and this is Breakfast Central. We've been on for a bit. Now it's time for us to talk about something special. COVID-19, of course, has exacerbated a crisis in South Africa's arts industry, where one of the landmark theatres in the country has closed its doors. Now, the closure of Cape Town's Fugard Theatre has put the once thriving cultural scene in South Africa under threat amid the ongoing coronavirus restrictions, which has made it difficult to stage public events.
Now, in just a decade of existence, the theatre, named after the world-renowned playwright Arthur Fugard, had become a much-loved venue that put on works by local writers as well as internationally known plays and, yes, indeed, musicals. Now, struggling artists have been staging a sit-in at the country's Arts Council, demanding answers about funding they were to get to survive the COVID-19 pandemic.
About 300 million rand was allocated by the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program. Now, the program was set up last year as a response to the rise in unemployment caused by the pandemic, but many are yet to get a cent. The National Arts Council has secured an eviction order against the artists, but the group has vowed to stay until their demands are met.
Well, to break down everything for us right here on this story, joining us live from Johannesburg, South Africa, we're joined by journalist and editor Candice Bailey. Candice, good morning to you. Welcome to Breakfast Central.
Good morning, Breakfast Central.
All right, let's talk about the artist sitting. What pushed them to stage it, and when did it start?
Felicity, the protest staging actually started on March 1st. At the center of it is really this presidential stimulus fund. The President, Ramaphosa, had set up this fund last year. He gave the 300 million rand to the artists. And basically the artists had two options, really. It was either that they could fund other jobs in the time of COVID, or it was that they could pay the salaries of projects that they had to stall as a result of the COVID pandemic. As you know, when we went into lockdown on March 26th last year, there was none of the theatres could be open, and it was quite it was a difficult time for the arts industry. So this stimulus program, they could apply for funding, and there were two different streams that they could apply for. But what's happened is that a lot of them have not gotten their money. So the money should have been dispersed between January and March this year. And a lot of the artists are saying that they haven't got their money yet, and they're really just frustrated.
All right, Candice, but are there any other options open to these artists rather than the sit-in?
I think the artists were just very frustrated. They have obviously been asking questions. They've been asking when they're going to get their money. And I think that they thought that this was the only option. And they are now in day 43 of their sitting. And they are saying that if they're not going to get answers, they're not going to go away. So I think that I don't think that they have any other option.
What options are they really are they asking for? What demands do they have?
Well, first of all, I think they want to have a list of everybody that's gotten money from this 300 million rand fund. What it looks like is that quite a small percentage of people have received money, and most of them are still sitting in having their funding it's not approved yet. Sorry for that. So they want the answers as to why they're not being funded. They want a list of people that have received funding, and they also want to understand what was the process that they went through in terms of giving the money to the different agencies that got money so far.
Speaking about the money in question, Candice, the minister responsible for the stimulus fund, that's Nathi Intetwa, admitted to the press that the money had been mismanaged by the NAC and apologized. So what is government doing about this, presumed mismanagement?
So, Lisa, it looks like there is an investigation that's pending at the moment. The CFO and the CEO at the National Arts Council have been suspended pending this investigation. So it does look like there is initial steps being taken, but obviously there's no outcome as to the investigation yet.
Beyond the protesting artists, let's talk about the Fugard Theatre. What was the reason for its closing down?
COVID definitely had a big role to play, Felicity. Obviously, as I said, when we went into lockdown, the theatre had to close its doors temporarily last year. And I think the financial strain of trying to open it up again, paying salaries, has really just taken its toll on the theatre. And they've had to close the doors permanently. So definitely COVID.
All right. So South Africa has a history of, using, protest theatre to, address issues. Now, theatre has a storied history in South Africa, as we know. Now, do you think the government is taking the industry, seriously enough at this point, especially with the talk about mismanagement and these artists being forced to, protest through sit-ins now?
You're absolutely right. I think the South African government is not taking the arts industry seriously. Over the last 15 years, we've had countless issues. Artists have had countless issues in terms of getting money, being prioritized in terms of government funding, in terms of government allocation. So I think the point where they've reached now is that they actually feel as if they've been sidelined by the government and that they need to take action and that, government needs to take them seriously. It's a known fact that arts in South Africa is not as well funded as other areas.
Quite unfortunate what is happening there. We hope that there is a resolution soon enough. Thank you very much, Candice, for talking to us.
Thanks, guys.
Well, they are clearly feeling the pinch, you have to say, the artists out there in South Africa. And
I was watching a documentary, I think it was on BBC, about how it has affected a community that thrives, that basically breeds on tourists and, entertainment. If you don't work, you don't eat, So the stories were really heartbreaking. This pandemic has done a lot of damage.
The big question is, so when will this, glorious theatre, the Cape Town Fugard Theatre, be opened again? When will it be open to the public? Are we going to wait until the, the vaccination of South Africans,
has been amplified to a point.
And will there be a reopening? Because the impact looks like it's quite
definitely
severe.
There will be a reopening.
When the artists are protesting that they did not get stimulus package.
There will be a reopening. There will be a resolution. I'm optimistic in this instance that, you can't leave them hungry indefinitely. The government, that's the responsibility of the government to find a way forward.
300 million rand, that's a huge stimulus package for us.
It is. Indeed. It is.
Right then, still Breakfast Central with Olisa and Felicity. Well, you can join the conversation. Use the hashtag NC Breakfast Central. Let's know your thoughts. So far, so good on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We'll also take a quick breather. When we come back, we'll have more discuss on impact. Yes, sports.
Unmutes the world.
We'll unmute the impact. All right, after this.